guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled The Lady That Really Wanted a Turkey. I work at a grocery store that prioritizes older people with health problems, immune-compromised people, and people with special diets. As Thanksgiving began to roll around, we opened a program for our customers that would allow them to pre-order their Thanksgiving turkey. Because the program sounded a bit confusing on the outside and a lot of customers don't read the posters to pre-order right in front of their face, we were trained to ask every person checking out if they wanted to pre-order and explain the program if they said okay. There was a reward for the cashier that got the most people to pre-order, but TBH I wasn't too interested in the reward. Like every special event in the store, I ask if they're interested because I'm required to, and if they say no, I say okay and hand them their receipt. Close to Thanksgiving, that pattern became muscle memory. I welcome them to my register, ask if they're a member with us, ask if they want to pre-order their turkey, and hand them their receipt. Obviously with extra steps of signing them up if they say okay. Because of how many people I see a day, I tend not to remember anyone's face or information, nor do I care to remember something that's not for me to know, so this happened out of the blue and I was utterly confused at first. Flash to the past, and I'm checking out an older woman who hands me a jug of orange juice. She asked if we had any more in the back because the shelves were empty. I didn't know for a fact if we did because I spent my entire day at the registers, but I knew we didn't get a new shipment until tomorrow, so most likely, everything was on the shelves already and only overflow products were in the back at this point. I told her we could do a personal order for a case, and she filled out the order form. The thing about order forms in my store is that they can easily be misplaced. Because we're understaffed and the registers can't be unattended, I wasn't allowed to walk the form to the receiving room, but I knew at the end of every day, the registers were cleaned and anything that didn't belong there, such as product returns, things that need to go back on the shelves because someone didn't want them after all, garbage or damaged items, and of course, order forms, were taken to their proper locations. So I slipped the order form on top of the register drawer so it wouldn't be missed when they were cleaned. This is important later. After we finished with the order, I asked if she wanted to order a turkey and she agreed, so I pulled up the pre-order list and had her fill out her information. I repeated back the pattern I had by now. The turkeys will come in the last 2 weeks of November. We won't call you because there are too many people on the list, but just come in when they arrive and bring your receipt with you. It's okay if you lose it though because your name is now in the order book so we can look it up and see what turkey size you got. I repeated this so many times, it was impossible for me to have said anything different. After finishing up with her, I moved on. For that order sheet, I was told the journey it went on from a fellow coworker. After he cleaned the registers that night, he found the order and went to bring it to the manager's office. The office was locked so he left it on the cabinet directly next to the office so it would be found. It was found and the manager decided to let receiving order the product so he brought it to the back room and left it on the desk. Unfortunately, the receiving manager had taken a day off and didn't see the form. By the time anyone was able to order it, the new shipment had already come in with the product anyway. The only difference was we didn't call her to let her know it was in because technically, it wasn't her request because the special order was never filled out. This whole incident began the hell that was a random woman trying to get me fired. The most insane part though was it happened in 15 minutes while I was on break, and my coworker had to fill me in when I returned. It was the 12th of November, 2022, and a woman walked into the store. She asked about her order and got a confused look. My coworker said no order was filled out and she quickly flipped out saying she filled out the form and if I didn't give it to someone, it was obviously my fault and she wanted me fired or at least severely in trouble. She said I had terrible customer service, and so my coworker asked me who she meant, because up until this point she never even said my name let alone what I looked like. Sadly, she didn't even remember me, which I found a little amusing because I was the only person in the store with vibrant blue hair. My coworker sent someone to the back to check on the product and surprise, we had the item she ordered anyway, which calmed her down a little but she still wanted to file a complaint against me for not filling out the order. My coworker refused to do this because 1, he was one of the store managers and I was his apprentice, and 2, He knew I didn't mess anything up because he was the one that took the form to the cabinet for the main manager. He finally managed to get her to let the incident go when someone else brought up the case of juice only for her to ask about the turkey. My coworker told her that they hadn't arrived yet, to which she insisted they were because I told her they would be in today. Utterly confused, he looks at her receipt because nobody knew the exact day they were coming in, but being the 12th, it was too early for any turkey yet. Nobody was saying an exact day at checkout because nobody knew the exact day, not even the manager of the company. The turkey arrivals were dependent on the company that was supplying the turkeys. When she said I had told her a date, that caused complete bafflement, and then he sees the problem. The woman ordered a 12 to 15 pound turkey, and she assumed 12 to 15 was the date of the turkey arrival. My coworker told her that 12 to 15 was the weight, not the date, and she doubled down. I told her the date, I did. I needed to get in trouble for telling false info, and also I was super pushy about making her order a turkey and she was forced to do it. He asked if she wanted a refund for her pre-order deposit and she didn't want one. She just wanted her turkey and asked if she could have it anyway. No. Even if he wanted to get her the turkey, it physically wasn't in the store yet. Her turkey was still at the farm and alive. What did she want us to do? Well, fire me, of course. It all came back to my fault and I had to be punished for everything happening to her right now. If she couldn't have the turkey, I couldn't have my job. I'm not quite sure what happened after that. My coworker walked into the break room after the whole situation as I was just about to get up, and he told me to sit back down for a minute because of this lady that had it out for me. We hung out in the break room for a few minutes while he told me what happened, then he went to go check on her. After he confirmed she left, he said it was fine for me to go back to my post and we never spoke of it again. Once the turkeys rolled in and people began to pick them up, the order list was marked off and I sometimes read through it to see how many more people needed their turkey still. Before Thanksgiving Day, everyone had gotten their turkey, so she obviously got her turkey eventually. Even if I didn't actually know her name, everyone was checked off, and she never raised another complaint. I'm fairly sure she was having a bad day and trying to find someone to blame or something, but still, a ridiculous situation that I was happy to be in the break room for. The next story is titled Am I the A-hole for having my sister's friend's car towed when she kept intentionally blocking me in my driveway? Backstory. I am 10 years older than my younger sister and have a house about 2 hours from my parents' house where she lives. My sister often stays with me on the weekends because I live a few minutes from a large recreational lake. This is fine, as long as she is quiet and allows me to sleep as I work 5A-5P shifts all weekend. My sister is very courteous, and I enjoy having her over. However, my sister has been bringing her new friend with her. They drive separately because the friend leaves for summer school on Sunday nights, and my sister is on summer break and often stays until Monday afternoon so we can spend more time together because I work weekends. This friend has been nothing but trouble. She is very loud, obnoxious, and annoying. She often wakes me several times during the night laughing loudly, going in and out of the house and slamming the door, using the microwave, oven timer, etc. I have nicely told her to please keep the noise down, and she always says that she is trying to be quiet but forgets sometimes that I'm there. The major issue is that the friend continues to park directly behind me in my driveway where I cannot back out to go to work in the mornings. I go to bed around 8 p.m. on Fridays, and the friend usually arrives at my house later than that, so I can't catch it as it happens. I always have to find her keys in the morning to move the car myself, or if I can't find them, wake her to move her car. This has almost made me late for work every Saturday for the past 5 weeks. I remind her the next day when I get home to please not park behind me because there is plenty of street parking, but it never fails for her to be behind me the next Saturday when I leave for work. This week was the last straw. I set up a traffic cone behind my car last night to remind her to not park behind me. When I woke up this morning, I saw that she had moved the cone and parked behind me even though the space behind my sister was empty and there was plenty of street parking in front of my house. I was extremely angry, as this was at least the 5th week I'd told her to not park behind me. I called a tow truck and had her car towed. While I was at work, I got an angry text from the friend asking about her car. I explained to her that I'd had it towed and that she was not to block me in intentionally again, or she was no longer welcome in my house. My sister and her friend both think I'm but I feel that after so many reminders, my actions were justified. Am I the a-hole? Comment said not the a-hole. You repeatedly asked her not to park behind you. You left a cone out to remind her, and she still blocked you in. I wouldn't even give her another chance to come over if it were me. You need to sleep and you need to be able to leave the house on time for work without stressing about someone blocking you in. Also, you deserve basic human decency and respect from anyone who is staying at your house. Since she can't manage to do that, she has no place in your home. Another comment said, not the a-hole. If your sister thinks you're the odd, then ban her from coming over as well. It's all fun and games until it starts messing with your livelihood. They can take this BS somewhere else. Your sister's friend and your sister included, since she allowed this to happen when she is your sister's friend. The next story is titled Bothered by Men's Health Awareness? Get branded a transphobe. Coworker recently committed suicide and the whole department was called for a talk on men's mental health. Our work is a high-stress and high-stakes environment. The men were given a piece of chocolate and a pamphlet containing mental health resources and crisis hotlines. Most everyone thought this was a kind gesture, except for one coworker. She was very vocal about her opinion that men were responsible for their suicides, and that women were often the victims of male mental issues. We can call her Susan. No one wanted to contest Susan, partly because she was in HR, partly because it was the end of our shift, but I couldn't keep it in. Our coworker that had committed suicide was a trans man. Let's call him Jim. He came out to us and everyone at work was super supportive of his transition. This news hadn't reached Susan, however. I myself wasn't super close to Jim. We had gone for a beer a few times. But I was notified by his sister who had sent a message to his most recent contacts. As Susan was finished ranting, I called her a transphobe. She turned around and was all, "Excuse me? How dare you?" I told her that she was only talking crap because she didn't like the fact that Jim was trans and was a bigot. I accused her of celebrating Jim's death, and Susan tried justifying herself by saying that Susan misgendered Jim like 3 times, was actually a victim of internalized misogyny, and at this point everyone at the table told her to sit the duck down and shut up. Rest in power, Jim. I hope you didn't mind me using your death to put Susan in her place. I know you didn't like her much either. The next story is titled My Little Revenge. So, I'm not a Native American, so excuse my bad English. Where I was born, Brazil, here they don't have this grading system, it's from 0 to 10, and in the 3rd year it was a nerd, so I knew people copied me, I never cared. But there was a boy that we'll call A who bullied me, and since I'm a pacifist I thought I'm going to win, and I fought, but in the tests I was going to win, so the teacher gave the test, so I who was sitting next to him started doing it very quickly and he started copying it, so when he finished I deleted it, that they were wrong and I put the ones that were right, so I got like 9 and he got 3, so I know it's not a huge revenge, but for a kid it was too much. The next story is titled Guest is something absolutely shocking that I still cannot believe. I've told a few stories on this sub about some very crappy people doing crappy things. I have a bunch more that I can and will share in the future, as I am back in the mood to sharing all the bad stories of terrible guests, and with 250 plus people on our DNR, I have a ton more I can share. However, as I was reading other stories on this slow boring night at the front desk, I realized that like 99% of the stories here on the sub are more negative interactions. Let's change it up a little. About a year or so ago, we were having a hard time getting and retaining staff, so since I was living at the hotel, I was temporarily working there again to help and for extra money. I actually lived 200 miles away, and was there the second longest, second only to the manager, with years of experience under my belt. I was working all 3 different shifts a week as the fill-in guy, to give the primary shift workers at least 1 day off a week. Yes, it did ruin my sleep schedule, but I was living there rent-free and working 3 to 4 days a week while getting paid like I was working 5 to 6 days, so it was worth it. This particular week, I was scheduled evening, 3 to 11 p.m., for the first 2 days, morning, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., the 3rd day, then a partial overnight the 4th day, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., and off for 4 days. We had one of our, now, regular travel nurses check in the 2nd day near the end of my shift. I got to know her better later on, but this was the 1st or 2nd time she was staying here, and the 1st time I remember meeting her. The 2nd day, a dead and slow morning, she came down for breakfast where it was just me and her in the lobby, breakfast area. She jokingly said when she came down something along the lines of, "Wow, you're still here? Did you even go home to sleep or change?" For context, I was wearing a similar looking white shirt as the day I checked her in and a pair of clean beige pants that were exactly like the other pair. Laughing, I assured her that I did go home, slept for 6 hours, and came here at 7. She mentioned that with her being a nurse, she totally understands the quick turnarounds. A few minutes later, she went to her hospital for her shift and I didn't see her the rest of the day. The next day, my overnight shift, she came down at around 5 a.m. to check out since she had the early morning shift at the hospital. She jokingly said, "You again? Are you sure they let you go home?" Laughing again while checking her out, I told her that I work all 3 shifts during the week to give others their time off as we are more short-staffed due to COVID and the rough job market issues at the time. The next part still warms my heart to this day and shows how much people truly care about others. As I was handing her the receipt for the stay, she hands me a $100 bill saying that her stay was excellent and that she really appreciates what I am doing during these hard times. Being shocked by the offer, my immediate reaction was to say that she doesn't need to tip me that much and I am happy to help them, but she absolutely insisted and would not leave until I took it. I tell this story not to brag or anything, but to show that despite all the crappy guests that we front desk agents get, there are amazing people out there that remind us why we get up every day to come to this job. The next story is titled "Running Out of Patience in This Industry." I've worked in hotels the past 3 years as a way to pay for school. I remember when I first started, a human depiction of SpongeBob always ready to work and to spread joy to the world. I would cover shifts no one wanted, I would never argue with guests. As I've gained more experience, my patience has been running out. I argue more with guests, my manager, I don't respond to calls or texts when I'm off work. I dread coming to work, but I still have to pay for my senior year. I can't wait to leave this industry, I'm so sick of it. The entitled guests, the yes sir attitude, the work. I don't understand how some of you can work in this industry for 5+ years, I'm getting to my absolute limit. I'm certain the only reason I haven't been fired given my attitude has been because nobody else wants to work this crappy for job. At least not consistently. The only reason I've stayed so long is because they let me do homework while I work. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.